Are you a woman standing at a crossroads, eager for change? It's time to connect with your authentic and empowered self at Boss Leap. Join Dr. Sylvia Morris and Dr. Angela Walker in this empowering community where real-life stories of courageous and talented women inspire and motivate. Engage in honest conversations that foster well-being, drawing from our own journeys. Let us guide you toward profound growth and transformation in both your personal and professional life. Here are your hosts, Dr. Sylvia Morris and Dr. Angela Walker.
Welcome back to Boss Leap. My name is Dr. Sylvia Morris, and I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Angela Walker. And we are all set for an awesome conversation today with Dr. Marla Richardson-Price. But before we get started with our conversation with Dr. Price, Angela, I have been thinking about the word connection today. And when I think about connection, as we age, it's probably a little bit different. In my younger years, that means I was talking to you on the phone all the time, or texting, or staying in contact maybe on social media or Facebook. But now it is more about those meaningful moments. So it may only be that 20 minutes that I know that my friend, well, actually, I talked to Jessica, one of our co-authors today, on my way to the eye doctor. I know that is not fun nor sexy. However, we had 15 uninterrupted moments and we were able to kind of debrief. I'm like, how are you? She asked me how I was. And those moments of connection, I find, are so much more meaningful and important to me at this point in my life. Tell me about how you connect with people.
I think I would say that I'm just trying to be more intentional about connecting. I am taking a page from your playbook, and you may have noticed the last meeting that I went to, I sent you a postcard from that meeting because
I loved it. Yes.
You are so good at
postcard.
Just the old-fashioned writing, and it's a quick message, but people feel so special when they get something in the mail. And my kids, even, although they don't write, but they love to see that they've gotten something in the mail,
other than a bill,
and which they do get now. But more importantly, taking the time to do it when you think about it. So I got some stationery when I was on the last trip, and because we're all, well, maybe not everyone listening in the audience, but we're certainly of an age where that our days are not promised, and we have plenty of people that have transitioned, and you wonder, wow, why didn't I reach out to that person when I was thinking about them? So try not to let the days go by when I'm thinking about someone to either connect via text, but I think mostly I prefer phone, particularly for me, because I've transitioned from being in full-time practice, being in the office in the hospital where you're connecting on a daily basis with patients and colleagues and nurses, which is always kind of the highlight of my day, is just hearing people's stories and connecting, to working from home. And doing, still involved in medicine, but not direct patient care. It's really important. And I think a lot of people have noticed, even with the pandemic and being able to work from home, there's a blessing and a curse, I think, involved in that, if you are not actively engaged in staying connected to other people. So just trying to take advantage of the invites that we get now, and not saying, well, I don't really feel like it, but taking advantage of the time to go out and connect with other people and have the conversation, but most importantly with my loved ones and friends and family.
And we are connected forever. She cannot shake us, Dr. Marla Richardson-Price. So we want to invite you, Dr. Marla, to the show today. And thank you for coming on Boss Leap.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. Good to see you, ladies.
Awesome.
So we've been waiting for you, girl. So
Finally got it together. Finally
you
got it
are
together. Life has been lifing for us all, but in due time, it was meant to be. And today is that day.
Yes, very good. Well, our background is we met, all of us met at Georgetown School of Medicine. And tell us a little bit about your background and your experience at Georgetown and what you've done since then.
Oh, that's loaded. That's a long time. We graduated many, many, many years ago. I know we all look very young, so you would think that it hasn't been that long, but that was a while ago. So I am Dr. Marla Richardson-Price. As she said, we met at Georgetown, but I did my undergrad training at Howard University. And so I was in the Washington, D.C. area for a very long time, coming from Orlando, Florida. My background is in family medicine. However, I have done several things since then. The one thing that family medicine has provided me is the ability to pretty much put my toes and fingers into every aspect of medicine. And that's one of the reasons why I chose that specialty. But I'm from Orlando, Florida. I am a single mother of a recently graduated high school young man who is now at Seminole State College. I came back to Orlando after living in the DC area because, as I said, this is my hometown. And I chose to come back here because I wanted to serve the community that had raised me. And so I wanted to provide everything that I had learned up in the big city and the capital of Washington, D.C., whether it was from undergrad or from medicine. I wanted to bring that back to my community. I thought that it was my duty to bring knowledge and education to the community from a medical standpoint, from a leadership standpoint. And plus, my mom was here, and I am her only child.
Miss
so
Joyce.
Miss Joyce.
Yes. I had to come back to where my mom was, where my roots were. Since graduating, like I said, from Georgetown, I have done pretty much every aspect of medicine that you could think of, from hospital to in-home care. And I found my passion in pretty much every aspect of that. And I'm sure we'll get into it later, but my passion and in many things that we do, our passion changes sometimes based on situations, based on experiences. And so like I mentioned earlier, it has been a blessing that family practice has been my choice of specialty because it opened up a broad spectrum of many avenues for me to be able to practice medicine.
So Marla, tell us kind of an early passion, and then how did you know it was time to evolve from that particular passion or let it go to move to the next?
So early passion would be from a child. I always said I wanted to be a pediatrician. And that was my specialty of choice. I loved kids. And even it's funny because even after I graduated and I've been here in the Orlando area practicing for a while, if someone hadn't seen me in a while, but they knew I practiced medicine, they're like, "Are you a pediatrician?" And I'm like, "Well, sort of, yes. I'm family medicine, which allows me to be a pediatrician as well." But my love for kids I found through residency was for the well child. I wasn't prepared emotionally to take care of the sick child. And I found myself throughout residency, like, okay, yeah, I wanted to be, when I thought of being a pediatrician, I thought of being in the room, playing with the babies, kissing all over the babies and them jumping around. But I realized that emotionally, I was not equipped to care for the NICU, the neonatal. That was not in my ability emotionally. So although I still wanted to take care of kids, that's where my passion for pediatrician changed to family medicine. And then in practicing family medicine, again, I found joy in taking care of the infant all the way to the adolescent, and then also incorporating care for the parent. You learn a lot about people and just their family dynamics, and learning their family dynamics plays a huge part in you being able to be the kind of physician that they need you to be. And I found joy in that, but then that changed. After there's just been so many changes in medicine, you know, and I find myself being more of a patient advocate kind of physician. And when my patients couldn't get what I knew they needed, whether it was insurance reasons, finances, or whatever the case may be, that played a toll on me not being able to be the type of physician that I thought they needed me to be. And so I was looking for other opportunities or other ways to care for the patient outside of direct patient care, if that makes sense.
That makes complete sense. That's a huge reason why I've made a transition as well. And it's funny that you say that, because if anybody asks me what you are, I say pediatrician. And I think because when we both came into medical school, I wanted to be a pediatrician as well. So I always thought of you and knew you were good with kids. Tell us about and I think this is all good information, particularly for anyone making transitions in life, but particularly for any young women that are in medicine. You know, there are things that we think we want to do, and sometimes it does serve you well, but then later you grow into wanting to go into another area. And so family medicine has allowed you to do that. Can you tell us what that looks like now for you, what you currently are involved in?
Sure. So yes, medicine has always been my passion. So whatever I was going to do is going to have to be in the field of medicine. But then as we all get older, like I said, things change, responsibilities change, becoming a parent, and then being a single parent in medicine, it was very difficult. So my focus outside of my career became my family. And in becoming more focused on my family, that meant that I had to be better in time management. And so being a complete hands-on direct patient care in the clinic 9 to 5 did not work for my family. Especially with me being a single parent. I wanted to be the parent that was at every basketball game. I wanted to be the parent that was at the Boy Scouts. I wanted to be at any performance that he was doing. And a lot of times my clinic schedule did not allow for that. I did not want someone else to have to tell me what my child was doing. So I wanted to
video.
Right. I wanted to be present. And then again, and COVID changed a lot of that as well, as far as my availability. So my passion never changed, but the way that I had to satisfy my passion did. So my passion has always been patient care, patient advocacy. And so right now, prior to what I'm doing currently, I was doing in-home care. So I was doing a primary care physician that traveled around the city and provided care to patients who were either unable to get out of their homes and come to the clinic, or were in some type of nursing home or skilled facility. And that allowed me a little bit more flexibility because I was able to make my schedule. So I could make my schedule around things. I wanted to be the mom that was at open house. I wanted to be the mom that was at the teachers' conferences. So I would schedule my patient care around that. But then that got a little bit hectic as well. So I decided to go into, it actually came upon me to be involved in primary care or medicine where I could be an independent contractor, as opposed to a salaried position.
That's like a 1099, correct?
Yes,
for the purposes
1099.
of our audience. Okay.
Yes. So those opportunities came to me, and again, allowed me the flexibility and allowed me to be a physician and a mom. I am family first. If anybody knows anything about me, I am family first. So yes, I need to work to make money to pay the bills and student loans and all of that stuff. But I found that I was sacrificing time with family to be a physician. I was the physician. I was doing more for my patients than I was for myself or my family. And that is what led me to make a change in how I provided care. So right now I am doing multiple things, but those things allow me flexibility. And people say, you do a lot. I do a lot, but they all provide me the opportunity to be present for myself as well as for my family. And so I am a qualifying physician for medical cannabis. I also do consultations and chart reviews for Social Security and disability. So I do claims or review claims to qualify patients for their Social Security. I am also a mentor and a physician collaborator for a couple of nurse practitioners in the area. And each one of these things satisfy my passion for medicine. In my physician collaboration, I am able to continue to mentor upcoming nurse practitioners, nurses, and a lot of times medical students who come through their office. And I've gained a passion for alternative type of treatment for medicine, and that's where the cannabis comes in. Outside of pain management and treatment of mental health disease and those types of things. So different ways of doing the same thing that I had the desire to do when I graduated from medical school.
I think that's awesome. I mean, so many avenues, and that's full of nuggets of information for people. But I think what I heard, what was loud and clear, is a lot of your changes were not necessarily you wanting to get away from your passion in medicine, but more that you needed to make the changes so that you could care for your family the way you wanted to, that served you best. And obviously, once it served you best, it served them best.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I think that's
self-care has not always, I think that's an area where we lack as women, for one, and then as women physicians, self-care, because as a woman, naturally, we care for everyone else and we neglect ourselves. And so that took a lot of internal digging for me to be able to feel comfortable doing it, because you don't want to seem selfish, or you don't want to seem like you care about yourself more than others. But just like you said, Angela, in order for me to care for others, I do have to consider and caring for myself. And so self-care has been very important to me. I mean, in learning to take care of myself, again, has brought on other passions. I'm very passionate about fitness and health more. You would think that was already a priority as a physician, but unfortunately, that was not at the top of my list when I, considered medicine. I could tell you how to make yourself better, but I wasn't doing it for myself. And so fitness and healthy eating and all those types of things have become forefront for me. I put a post up today. I was like, fitness is my vibe. I feel lost if I haven't done some type of exercise in the day. It's like something is missing. I get joy out of meal prepping. And I think people see that passion in me. So they're like, oh, you ought to open up a meal prepping business. No, man, I got a lot. I'm doing a lot already. But the fact that they see that I have a passion for those types of things is really, mission accomplished. So if I can get people to change their life simply by me doing what is best for myself, then I'm doing exactly what I planned for it to do.
Because I see you I follow you on Instagram, and I see your posts, and I love them when you're in the gym and you're doing, your weightlifting and all of the things, kind of sharing with the rest of the world, your fitness journey or your self-care journey. This morning, I walked probably 17 minutes, but if I get my morning walk in, it's like 1.3 miles. Then I know that my day is going to be started off on the good foot, as my mother would say. So I really appreciate you sharing about your self-care journey. Are there other things, Marla, that you do for self-care?
Outside of fitness and healthy eating? I mean, I guess I would have to definitely go back to family. I mean, self-care for me is being able to be with my family for whatever they need me to be, in sickness or in health. So just family time is very important to me. So my mom, my parents, I'm fortunate to have two sets of parents. Both parents are remarried, but my mom lives 6 minutes from me and my dad lives about 15. And so that's a blessing in itself. And so I try to make a point. If I do not see them every day, I am talking to them every day. And so that, to me, that's self-care. Also making sure that Jaren, my son, is, doing whatever he has to do, just being there for him. He doesn't need me as much anymore because he's in college, but still,
He still
he's
needs you.
home. So
Gotcha.
he does need me more than he would if he was away. But yeah, so self-care to me, just includes all of that, includes me being able to pour into other people and equally allowing people to pour into me.
Mhm. Very good. Well stated, because I do think there is value in, as we mentioned at the beginning, just the connectedness, staying connected. So I know that we have this kind of momentum going forward in terms of self-care, and it's more of taking care of ourselves. But I think there is a portion of that, just as you mentioned, is when you are taking good care of other people, that fills you up as well. But if that's all that you're doing is taking care of other people, I think that's when we start to fall short and are not, serving ourselves well. So very good. So I know another thing that you've done, you're such an interesting person. And
Interesting? Like,
yeah, always
Interesting, good, not like
Interesting, good.
interesting. Yeah.
No bombs dropping. I'm not dropping bombs. I know, we are sisters because we're friends, but we're also sisters in our because we happen to be a part of the same sorority. And I know you just continue to do things in your life. It's never like, oh, I've made it. Oh, I've made it. Oh, I've made it. And so I know you pledged Delta Sigma Theta as a grad, a graduate in a graduate chapter. In terms of making those life decisions, what prompted you to do something like that? Because we already know what as you mentioned, you're a busy lady and you have all these things on your plate. But what was that like for you, and what does that mean to you?
So Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated has always been in my heart. So I have always, and I think about the women who play a major part in my life outside my mom. My mom's what she considers herself me by me. But outside of my mom, when I think of the women who had a great impact on my life, fortunately, coincidentally, whatever word you want to use, they were all members of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So I did have an interest in Delta since a very young age. And unfortunately, I did not make it at Howard University, but it did not deter me, because if it was meant for me, it was going to be for me. And so I decided to pledge grad chapter again once I got to a point in my life where I felt that I could be an asset to the sorority. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't have been an asset had I pledged at Howard University, but everything I believe is in timing. Had I pledged earlier, I may not have been able to be the Delta that they needed me to be at this age. And to give to the sorority what I feel that I'm able to give in my current position. Maybe I needed to be a doctor before I could. Maybe I needed to be a mom, or whatever the case may be. But I chose to do it because, again, it was something I felt that I wanted to do, and it had always been in my heart to be a Delta woman. And all of the women around me, again, were members of the sorority. So even though I was deterred, and I've been deterred many times along the way for so many different things, but if I believe that it is for me, nothing's going to stop me from getting there. And so in Delta, I have been the chairperson of the health and wellness. I've been involved in many things more around health and scholarship and things like that. And so my sorority here, the Orlando Alumni Chapter here in Orlando, Florida, has really stood behind me. They've given me avenues to continue to be a voice for medicine. It's opened up many doors for me, being part of health fairs and St. Jude walks and all different types of things. So the short answer is I was always meant to be a Delta. So I was going to make sure that happened.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
So Marla, we met, we'll say, in the early 90s. And
okay.
I remember I remember our, I guess, leader, Dr. Hoyt, would always say like, likes, like. And I guess what I'd like to know is if you could go back to that woman who was walking into the library at Dahlgren Memorial Library and tell her one or two pieces of advice, what would you say to her?
Ooh. Okay, so first of all, I would probably tell her that it's okay to not be okay. Um, it's okay to have times where you struggle, but more importantly, in not being okay, to not be afraid to ask for help. A lot of times we're struggling with different things and we don't think that anybody else is struggling with those same things. So we kind of keep it to ourselves. And that may be struggling with a particular concept, in a class, or struggling with a particular person or something like that. So the first thing that I would say to her is don't keep it to yourself. Don't be afraid to ask for help. The second thing that I would probably tell her is better time management. But you have to know yourself. And the reason I say time management is because, like, you're talking about walking the halls and in the library. I spent hours and hours in the library when nobody else seemed to do it. I mean, there was a few other people there. But I think it was
if I hadn't done that, I would not be here. So I'm cute, but I'm really not all that bright. I just work hard.
Whatever.
Okay, well, it's nice to know it wasn't just me. But there were times that I wish I had done better in time management and studying, so I could have enjoyed other parts of being in medical school outside of just studying. I'll just say that. I mean, because there's so much more to life. I mean, yes, grad school, medical school, law school is very time consuming and you got a lot to do, but there's so much more to it than just studying. And so I probably would focus on those two things most.
Yeah, definitely. Life keeps lifing wherever we are.
Very true.
That's sound advice.
Can I ask you a question based on that concept of, time management, which I think for a lot of us, myself included, it is still a work in progress. What have you learned? What has helped you? Was there anyone in particular or any type of system that you currently use? Because as busy as you are, or has it just been kind of life and figuring it out?
Well, no, actually, I mean, and it sounds really simple, but having a planner and organizing and not counting on my brain to remember, honestly. I mean, I know that happened here time or two. But time management in the sense where if I can look at it, I can see where in my day I can fit this or fit that. And then the other thing is not overextending myself. If I have a calendar, and because I can honestly say there have been one too many times where I have double booked myself. I can't be in two places at one time. And I'm like, oh, is that today? Oh,
yeah.
And so keeping a planner and using my phone and the calendar has changed the game for me. Obviously, since I got older, I just can't remember everything. Before it was like, okay, I can remember this is going to happen. But yeah, just not overextending myself is the main thing. Like I tell people now that I'm 55, I'm a one event a day kind of person. Don't ask me to come to this in the morning, this in the afternoon. Before I could do it and I felt fine, but now I just cannot overextend myself. And again, in not doing that allows me the time back to that self-care, family time, those types of things. So the time is filled, but the time is filled with different things that are more fulfilling to me. So I don't overextend myself and I keep a calendar for the most part. Now, in saying that, you got to remember to put it on the calendar. So, sometimes that does not always happen, but I'm working on it. So yeah, keeping a calendar and not overextending myself are the main things.
Learning to say no.
Learning to say no. That's so hard though. Sometimes it depends on who you're saying no to, but that's hard because you want to be there for so many people. But
Mhm.
again, in doing that, you got to remember you got to be there for yourself.
Yourself.
Yeah.
That's a nugget. Good.
Yeah.
It is.
Definitely.
Very good.
Going back to overextending yourself, I have the bad habit that I'm trying to work on of saying yes to lots of different things and overscheduling my off days. So as today, I thought I had an appointment to get my brows done, and I show up there and I'm sitting there and she's like, "You canceled." I was like, "I did what?"
Well, they
I was
look
like,
good.
I was
like,
gonna
she
say,
did
you
my
sure you didn't get them done?
brows. I did, because we have that kind of connection and relationship. But it is those moments of like, I want a little bit more time, and I realize, oh, well, my day off is consumed with all of these other things, which I'm happy about, and excited about, and grateful for. But
Mhm.
I have to try and schedule my off time as well, meaning don't touch it. I need a day to do nothing.
Yes.
Ideally once a week, but definitely every couple weeks.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Agreed. Yeah, that's important. So Marla, you spoke about your parents and your son. Any important person that you feel like has shaped you, or persons that you want to elaborate on? And it may be, the people that you mentioned, which I suspect, but anyone else along the way that you can, share, what their impact was, and how that may have shaped you.
Well, of course, I'm gonna have to go back to my mom. That is, my mom is my backbone. Everything that I do, I have to run it by her. If she says no, then it ain't not gonna happen. And like I said, I talk to her several times a day. And her being a single parent, and learning from her and my single parenthood, she has just been my best friend, my teacher. I went to the middle school where she's a teacher, and I wanted to be in her class, and she said, absolutely not. So, I try my best to emulate her, but she is the woman's woman, to put it lightly. She tells me when I'm right and tells me when I'm wrong. She encourages me when I didn't even know I need encouragement. She's always there for me. So if I had to pick one person, it would definitely be her. Have there been other people along the path that have, put nuggets and been there for me? Definitely. I mean, I have a very huge church family. My church family is full of Deltas as well. And just people who have followed me. Again, like I put it out there, and they're going to ask me questions, about medical school, about this, whatever there is that I am putting forward or say that I want to do. They are going to put into place things to make sure to hold me accountable for them. And so, I mean, I could list a ton of people, but I'll let my mom have the highlight for that. From church to work, from medical school, friends and family at Howard University. I mean, there's been a lot of people who have poured into me and have allowed me to be who I am today. And I don't want to not say any names, so I'm just going to talk about my mom.
Got it. Very good. So you've got a tribe, but
definitely,
but certainly the leader there is your mom. So
definitely.
Very good.
Miss Joyce, absolutely.
Miss Joyce, that's her. As my friends at Howard said, they call her Marla's mom. That's Marla's mom. Hey, Miss Marla's mom. That's what they all say every time they see her.
Well, you've actually, this brought up a question that I had for you. Sylvia and I went to non or traditional universities that were not HBCUs. But certainly when we met you, there was no doubt that you had all the pride in your HBCU, Howard University, and we were there in DC, close to the school. So for those people that, may not really know much about HBCUs, and then also for those that are familiar, what did that mean to you in your journey And what does it mean to you now?
Well, I often say, if nobody knows anything about me, they know that I graduated from Howard University. Well, three things: that I'm a doctor, I graduated from Howard, and I'm a Delta. If you don't know anything else, those three things you definitely know. Howard is my love. Howard is my heart. It's the only school I ever saw myself going to. And my love for Howard was because my uncle, who is now at ENT, he attended Howard University. And so that was my first love for Howard.
Your
The
uncle in Richmond, right, Marla?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
You met him for Dr. Randall Dalton. Yeah.
Yes.
The HBCU experience is like none other. That it allowed me to be in a space with people who were like-minded, who looked like me, coming from a high school that was pretty much mixed. I was looking for community when I moved up to the college experience. So an HBCU was the only school that I was going to apply to, which is the only schools I applied to. And Howard was the number one. And so that experience it's given me lifelong friendships. It's giving me additional family. It allowed me to gain academic knowledge in a environment that was also stimulating me culturally, that I did not necessarily get in secondary school, like in high school. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about Black excellence. Of course, I had done my research before on prior graduates of Howard University, but it just gave me a sense of wanting to continue the legacy of those that came before me at the school. And in doing that, it allowed me to learn more about Black history, learn more about myself, my culture, my upbringing, things that I may not have been exposed to, even things that my family may not have been exposed to or didn't know to teach me. The environment was just one of, like I said, the word that keeps coming to me is community. I felt safe. I felt recognized. I felt loved. It felt like family. It felt like family. And again, to this day, there are so many people who still play a major role in my life who I met at Howard University.
Awesome. Awesome. Very good.
And I know that you mentor quite a few young people who are interested in going to medical school.
They just kind of find me. They just kind of find me.
Well, Marla,
You're that
people
person.
stick to you. They meet you and they just are bonded for life.
Oh,
So tell me, what do you tell young people who are interested in a career in medicine? Because like you mentioned, the medicine that we entered in the last century, honestly, is very different to how people practice and even patients' expectation when they show up in our offices. So can you talk a little bit about your advice to young folks?
So when I am talking to young ladies and or young men about going into medicine, the one thing that I do ask most often is, again, what is your passion? Why are you choosing medicine? What is it about medicine that has your attention? And then what is your expectation? So what is your expectation? What are you expecting this career to give to you, and what are you giving to it? Just like you said, Sylvia, practicing medicine now is so different. And a lot of the things that we are doing as physicians now may not have necessarily been available to us then, or we didn't know about it. And so I let them know, based on their passion, like, what is it that you want to do in medicine? And that medicine by itself isn't just direct patient care. It's not necessarily being in an office. And so there's so many avenues that you can satisfy your desire to be a physician, that don't necessarily just include direct patient care. And so in finding out what their passion is, why they want to do medicine, I think people chose careers a long time ago because they thought it made the most money. We know
Tell
that.
the truth.
We know that's not always the case. And so if their desire, and I haven't really had that many who say, well, I want to go into medicine because I want to make a lot of money. They don't say that anymore. The goal is more or less, I mean, obviously all of us want to help people. And so in helping someone, there's so many different avenues you can do in medicine. So I just try to get them to speak their passion and make a decision of what avenue of medicine they want to go into, whether, you know, the specialty or whether it's functional medicine or alternative medicine or those types of things. Because even in, like I said, family medicine gives you so many things, but even in the more subspecialties, there's still so many different avenues that you can take with even the subspecialties, in being like sports medicine physicians for teams, basketball teams, football teams, things like that. So I really try to get them to get down to the nitty gritty of what it is that you want out of this, out of medicine, and what is it you want to give to medicine.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I've always wanted in my mind to have this like workshop for multiple levels of women. When my kids were younger, it was like a workshop that exposed, you know, young girls to all professions, and just so that they could go in one environment and have multiple speakers, and just to have some practical advice on what you do. Because what you read in a textbook, I mean, now there's, you know, exposure to social media, which we certainly didn't have when we were young. I remember my dad, you know, mentioning engineering. I was like, oh, I don't want it. You know, I don't want to work on a building or something, you know. And so you don't have any idea. But even with reaching back into, you know, medical schools, and we talk in our book about the importance of having mentors, is exactly what you're discussing, is just having some practical advice on what it's really like. You're a family medicine physician, but you're doing all these other things, and that has allowed you to do all these other things. Whereas a surgeon, that's a lot longer, and you've done a lot more investment in your, you know, your career, and you may not. It's certainly, you know, I would have to say, as all of us and even our friends that are physicians, it has been a blessing to be able to do a lot of other things, and it does open doors for you. So I'm certainly not saying that, but I don't think a lot of younger people know the full extent. And I think it's incumbent upon us as mentors to really kind of open their eyes in terms of all the things you could potentially do, so that they don't just see one particular path. So, and I know, you know, from experience, that you are a very good mentor for a lot of people.
Thank you. I should hope I am. I should hope I am. I love teaching though. I love mentorship. So that's another one of my passions as well.
Yeah. One of your other passions, it looks like, is social media. So we want to know, because we are novices on how you have mastered your social media presence, and, you know, definitely admire and I am inspired by your transparency. You're sharing your journey on, you know, health and wellness and nutrition and all of those things. How did that come about? Because we all came of an age where we had to learn it. So it wasn't just.
Listen, I have a great group of women behind me. I cannot take full credit for my current social media presence and how well it has evolved. I have always been on social media, obviously for a long time, but most recently, I started a side hustle in quotes, because that side hustle hopefully will become a little bit more than a side hustle as I progress. But I joined and partnered with an online health and wellness company called It Works, and the company is simply through social media. That's how we gain business partners, as well as potential customers. And so the idea behind it is to take people on a journey with you. And so people are interested in you based on what you are posting, and they're interested and they want to follow you because of what you're posting. Mm-hmm. And that is how we gain interest. And so people see me exercising, they see me meal planning, they see me going on trips or with my family, and they inquire about what I'm doing. And so this opportunity has again, it's put pegs into all of the little aspects of my life that I enjoy. Being a part of this company, one has improved my leadership skills. The company is a faith-based company, and so my spiritual development, it's really heavy on personal development. I mean, people see us as physicians that we are in a leadership position because of our title, so to speak. So yes, we are doctors, but a lot of times we don't necessarily know how to lead in different aspects. And so this has developed
And
my leadership.
sometimes some of us are poor leaders, not you,
Very
of
true.
course, but I've
Very
had some
true.
really bad bosses. Maybe I was
Yes.
too transparent.
Well, maybe they watching this, but they don't know who you're talking about. But yeah, so it actually, and it's allowed me, and you can thank it works for getting on this screen with you today, because before I probably would have said no thank you. But yes, so it's allowed me to open up a little bit more, because the opportunity also gives people the ability to become healthier. It still hones in on my want and desire to help people. So we have over 40 plant-based products that help with weight loss, weight management, skincare, beauty care. So in my medicine, and it's still there for that side, put a peg in that little box. But it also allows me the opportunity to mentor women on how to make money and become healthier as well. So that's that mentorship aspect, and put a little money in my pocket while doing it. So I have thoroughly enjoyed this experience. I've been doing it for a year, and it has done things for me that I wasn't expecting when I said yes to the opportunity. And I'm having fun. I really have fun. And again, fitness and health being more of a passion for me, it's right in line with where I'm trying to take Marla.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Fun. You brought up the word fun, which is important, and I don't think we give it enough attention, because we get really busy about the work of living, and kind of life is always lifing, as we say. But tell me, what does fun look like in your
Fun
work?
for me is traveling. I mean, it could be traveling up the street, down the street. Fun for me is laughing with friends. I don't try to be funny all the time, but apparently I am. But I
funny.
love,
You are.
I love being with friends. Like I said, I don't necessarily have to travel out of the country. Traveling to a beach. I love the beach. I love the water. I love going to visit friends and family. So fun is being around people who make me happy and who I can make happy. That's fun for me.
I would just have to concur. I mean, I could tell you so many experiences, but things that I remember about you is always laughing, that I said at the onset, even though you weren't necessarily trying to be funny, you are that person. I do remember being invited to the beach, and I remember I think we was going to Virginia Beach, but I don't, and that's my happy place, my reset. Hence the picture behind me. But I think what I've gotten out of, our talk today is that self-care is important, and you have identified that, and that has made, a big impact in your life. And part of you transitioning into the business and the side hustle that you're currently in is because of, that self-care aspect. Family, and having that connectedness, whether it's your blood family or the family that you have created in your life through your sisterhood with Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated, or other friends, and laughter. I think that you cannot underrate the value of laughter. I remember a very dark period in my life, and I had nothing to do. There was no one around, and there was a comedy club, and I went in, and I'm sure the people around me were like, that was not that funny. But it can be medicine for your soul. And so I think that's why people are so attracted to being in your presence. So those are my takeaways today. I don't know, Sylvia, do you
The other thing I would just add is the importance of community. You talked about your Howard community, certainly your sorority community, your church community, and your immediate family. I know that we're part of your community as well.
Definitely.
And I am just continue to be inspired. I love hearing about your journey because I too am a person who have had several jobs and continue to use medicine as a vehicle to be in service. And that brings the other part of it is that you are always in service to your family, to your alumni community, your sorority, your greater Orlando community as well. And for that, we thank you, Marla, for
Thank
just
you.
being an awesome human being.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry.
It's true.
I appreciate you guys. And I want to thank you ladies for inviting me here. And seeing something in me that I not always saw in myself. So I really appreciate you. And yes, you definitely are family and you can never get rid of me. So I just really want to thank you both from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, you were, when we started with Boss Leap, from the infancy of the concept and, you know, what we wanted to talk about, what we wanted our audience to get from the experience is just, you know, authentic stories about women that will inspire others. And you were top on our list. So we are overjoyed that you are here, that you shared with us, and would love for you to be able to, you know, if you want to share any of your contact information, we can certainly put it in the show notes, but anything that if you want to share it here, or we can have it in written form.
Where can people find you on social media?
Well, you can find me on social media. I don't know my TikTok because I'm not really good at that yet, but my Facebook is, but you know, when I do TikTok, it gets some interest. So I got to learn how to do more of that. My Facebook is Marne Rich. My Instagram is Marne13,
Can you spell that? Thank you.
MARNEE 13. And then Marne Rich is MARNEE space Rich for Facebook.
Got it.
So yeah, but my phone number is even all over social media, so you can text me too.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We'll just put the social media in the show notes. We expect to be big, so you may not want everybody calling you like that. So.
Well, just because you call or text don't mean I gotta respond.
Well, there you go.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly. Well,
I really appreciate you ladies.
Oh, Dr. Marla Richardson-Price, we so appreciate you being here with us today on Boss Leap. Thank you for sharing your journey with us and our followers. Please feel free to check us out at bossleappodcast.com and give us any feedback on the show, as well as ideas for new shows.
Definitely.
So we will see you next time on Boss Leap.
And until then, live well and be well.
That's a wrap on another episode of Boss Leap. May this conversation enlighten your path toward personal growth and professional empowerment. For more thought-provoking and eye-opening discussions like this one, head to our website at bossleappodcast.com. Always remember to celebrate your wins and trust yourself. A positive mindset can push you out of your comfort zone and into far greater heights. Until next time, may you be well.
Before we go, there's one more thing the lawyers have asked us to include. You know, it's the legal language, and you know how doctors love lawyers. This podcast is presented only for educational and entertainment purposes. Although we are doctors, on this show, we are just your friends. This podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of your physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professionals. Understood? Awesome. We'll see you in the next episode.